For weeks, Katu has been tracking an ever-changing onslaught of new developments regarding the ICE facility in Portland and the push from the Trump administration to crack down on protests there. We understand it's been a lot to follow, which is why we're on your side breaking down the full timeline and the back and forth between Oregon and Portland leaders and the White House. Let's take you back to when this all began, Friday, September 26th. That day, Portland Mayor Keith Wilson called an emergency news conference alongside state, city, and Multnomah County leaders. He said armored vehicles have been seen on the streets of Portland, as well as more federal agents.
We've been hearing rumors about a deployment. Today, those rumors became a reality.
Leaders called on the Portland community to respond with peace and not violence.
Do not take the bait. Do not give Trump's federal agents reason to escalate.
We don't need to take the bait. We are a strong community.
There's no place for violence in response to what is taking place from the federal government. Let us stand together.
That same day, the Trump administration confirmed those rumors. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi posted on X that she was, quote, deploying DOJ agents to ICE facilities and wherever ICE comes under siege to safeguard federal agents, protect federal property, and immediately arrest all individuals engaged in any federal crime. On the following day, Saturday, September 27th, President Trump confirmed on Truth Social that he was directing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to, quote, provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. The president said he was authorizing full force if necessary. U.S. Attorney General Bondi doubled down, listing several violent incidents across the country and saying the nation has entered a new era of political violence.
These are not peaceful protests. These are coordinated attacks by radical extremists, and they end now.
Bondi vowed zero tolerance for anyone who threatens or assaults federal officers. Meanwhile, Oregon Governor Tina Kotek said she was not informed about why Oregon National Guard troops were being deployed to Portland and spoke with President Trump and DHS Secretary Kristi Noem.
I have been abundantly clear with them that Portland and the state of Oregon believe in the rule of law, and we can manage our own local public safety needs.
Following the president's announcement, tensions continued outside the ICE facility. Katu talked to Portlanders on both sides and found mixed opinions on a troop deployment.
I'm just worried that we're going to see things blow up like they did in 2020, and it's because our president and the federal government, they're looking for a fight.
If Portland's not going to protect their citizens, these people are tax-paying citizens, they have their homes here, he's got to do something.
On Sunday, September 28th, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth officially sent a memo to Governor Kotek authorizing 200 members of the Oregon National Guard to perform federal functions for 60 days. Reaction from state leaders was quick, and Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield immediately filed a preliminary injunction.
It's actually un-American, if you think about it, to use the military against our own citizens. But that's exactly what's happening right now.
Governor Kotek and Mayor Wilson attended a rally at Portland's waterfront, once again calling for peace. Protests continued outside the ICE facility, with the most violent clashes happening at night. On Monday, September 29th, AG Bondi increased the pressure on Portland, instructing DOJ agencies to defend ICE facilities, calling out Portland specifically. In a memo, Bondi claimed ICE officers across the country had seen a 1,000% increase in attacks from January 21st to September 25th, compared to the same time period in 2024. She said the DOJ would arrest and prosecute anyone who commits crimes against ICE to the fullest extent of the law. City and state leaders continued to push back. 17 mayors denounced the deployment of federal forces in the Portland metro. And in a major development, Oregon AG Rayfield filed a motion for a temporary restraining order to block a National Guard deployment to the city of Portland.
This morning, we filed a temporary restraining order, which is a motion to get in front of a judge as absolutely soon as possible to talk about the real facts on the ground, not the social media gossip that the president has been spewing all over the internet.
That same day, Portland Police Chief Bob Day weighed in on the clashes outside the ICE facility.
This is one city block.
City of Portland's about 145 square miles. This is one city block. And even the events that are happening down there do not rise to the level of attention that they are receiving.
Protests continue outside the ICE facility. On Tuesday, September 30th, President Trump once again doubled down on sending troops to Portland. This comes after a back and forth with Governor Kotek via phone and text.
I get a call from the liberal governor. Sir, please don't come in. We don't need you. I said, well, unless they're playing false tapes, this looked like World War II. Your place is burning down. I mean, you must be kidding. Sir, we have it under control. I said, you don't have it under control, Governor, but I'll check it, and I'll call you back. I called her back. I said, this place is a nightmare. It's certainly not the biggest, but it's one of the worst. It's brutal.
On this day, the White House issued a memo saying the radical left's reign of terror in Portland ends now. The president also suggests using dangerous cities as training grounds for the military. The same day, the president of the Portland Police Association told Katu the union wants to see more guidance from the community and state and federal leaders about how officers should respond. As protests continue, there are discrepancies between crowd sizes and arrests. Around this time, DHS claimed they arrested 6 protesters outside the ICE facility, alleging protesters put a member of law enforcement in the hospital, trespassed on federal property, and blinded law enforcement with strobe lights. They said they counted 100 rioters. But when Katu asked Portland police, they did not confirm the crowd size. In a post on Truth Social on Wednesday, October 1st, President Trump called Portland a, quote, never-ending disaster, claiming, quote, many people have been badly hurt and even killed. It is run like a third world country. But at this point, Portland had not seen any National Guard troops. Police Chief Day confirmed that in an interview on CNN.
When it comes to, first off, the National Guard being in place, have you seen them? Do you know what they're doing there?
No, they are not in place at this time. They're receiving some additional training. We believe they'll probably be deployed in the coming days, but they're not in place right now.
Okay, so you haven't seen them in your city?
No.
And do you believe having them there is necessary? Do you need them there?
No.
The same day, the Oregon Military Department offered a timeline for a deployment to Portland, saying the troops were expected in the coming days. The U.S. Justice Department filed a lawsuit against Washington, Multnomah, Clackamas, and Marion counties for allegedly refusing to cooperate with ICE. And the organizers of the World Naked Bike Ride announced plans for an emergency ride to protest troops in Portland. On Thursday, October 2nd, Katu confirmed the Oregon National Guard was training at Camp Rylea in Warrenton on the Oregon coast. We also learned how much a deployment could cost taxpayers, up to $10 million, according to Governor Kotek. That night, things took another turn. Portland police arrested conservative influencer Nick Sorder and 2 others outside the ICE facility for disorderly conduct. At this point in our timeline, we've made it to exactly 1 week since the White House announced a National Guard deployment in Portland. And at this point, that deployment had still not happened. But the arrest of Sorder did catch the attention of the White House, prompting Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to deliver a nearly 3-minute scathing statement condemning his arrest. She claimed Sorder was defending himself. Leavitt also announced an investigation by the DOJ into Portland police and threatened to withhold funding from the city of Portland.
We will not fund states that allow anarchy. There will also be an additional surge of federal resources to Portland immediately, including enhanced CBP and ICE resources. Law and order will prevail, and President Trump will make sure of it.
DHS doubled down and said they plan to send a surge of resources to Portland in wake of Sorder's arrest. Meanwhile, PPB defended themselves. They released a statement saying, quote, arrests are based on observed behavior and probable cause, not political affiliation or public profile. The Multnomah County District Attorney's Office began reviewing the case to determine whether Sorder would be charged. Protests continue outside the ICE facility. Video shows federal agents spraying protesters in the face and protesters dressed in inflatable characters. On Saturday, October 4th, a judge granted the temporary restraining order blocking a National Guard deployment for 14 days. this was a win for city and state leaders.
As the judge noted in her decision, we provided substantial evidence that the protests at the Portland ICE facility were not significantly violent or disruptive in the days or even the weeks leading up to the president's directive.
This ruling puts us on the right side of history. And while the fight is far from over, Oregon remains united and ready to defend our values and our rights today, tomorrow, and for as long as it takes.
The Trump administration immediately appealed the ruling. Quote, President Trump exercised his lawful authority to protect federal assets and personnel in Portland following violent riots and attacks on law enforcement. We expect to be vindicated by a higher court. That day, video circulated online showing protesters marching to the ICE facility and being gassed by federal agents. By Sunday, October 5th, a legal game of ping pong has begun playing out in the court system. After the TRO ruling, California Governor Gavin Newsom said the president deployed troops from his state. The Pentagon confirmed this.
Portland is burning to the ground. It's insurrectionists all over the place. It's Antifa. And yet the politicians who are petrified. Look, the politicians are afraid for their lives. That's the only reason that they say, like, there's nothing happening. And you've seen it. The place is burning down, and they pretend like there's nothing happening. So we'll take a look at the order. We haven't seen the order yet.
Katu also learned the Texas National Guard was mobilized to Portland. The state of Oregon filed the second TRO. A judge granted it that same night, blocking any troops from being deployed to Oregon. Oregon AG Rayfield fired back at the president, saying he cannot keep playing, quote, whack-a-mole with different states' guard units to get around court orders and the rule of law. Protests continue. On Monday, October 6th, the Multnomah County DA's office chose not to file charges against Nick Sorter.
I should never have been arrested. I should never have been put through the ringer. And I shouldn't have the chief of police on TV slandering me during the day. Instead, he should be focused on pulling the rot out of his police department. And maybe this will make him think twice about, I don't know, the direction that the department is going.
Sorter announced plans to sue. Protests continue. And organizers of the World Naked Bike Ride announced a date for their emergency ride to protest the, quote, militarization of our city. Things escalated once again the following day on October 7th. That's when DHS Secretary Kristi Noem visited the ICE facility in Portland for herself. She met with Oregon Governor Tina Kotek, Mayor Wilson, and Portland Police. Coming out of those meetings, narratives differed on exactly how they went. Here's part of what Governor Kotek had to say.
We talked about safety. We talked about safely allowing folks to peacefully protest. No one in Oregon is interested in seeing military policing on our streets when people are protesting peacefully.
Governor Kotek told CNN she was glad Noem visited so the secretary could see what's really happening in Portland. The governor also directed the United States Northern Command to demobilize Oregon's 200 National Guard citizen soldiers and to send California National Guard members back home. We also heard from Police Chief Day, who said there was clearly some differences in opinion.
I wouldn't say that we're all in alignment and agreement on every point, but I can say that, you know, we continue to be professionals and we continue to strive for a shared value of safety. The Secretary obviously and understandably is very concerned for the safety of her employees, her officers, as well as you know, the building itself and the ability for it to function. So we really tried to look for ways and solutions that might allow us to reduce some of the conflict and the dissidents down there in a way that's, you know, primarily for the safety of all.
After her visit, Noem later sat down with Fox News. She threatened that if Mayor Wilson did not meet some of her demands for more security at the ICE facility, the federal government would send 4 times the amount of federal officers to the city. She also claimed Mayor Wilson and Governor Kotek were attempting to hide terrorist activity in the city. On Wednesday, October 8th, it appeared Portland police began changing some of their strategies outside the ICE facility. After Noem's visit, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Oregon released a list of demands to PPB, including creating a perimeter surrounding the ICE facility. They said that perimeter should be at least as large as the one that had been set up for Noem's visit. Though K2 noticed tape for the perimeter was taken down that same evening. The U.S. attorney also demanded that Portland set up free speech zones so protesters are channeled into appropriate areas. That same day, the Trump administration held a roundtable with conservative influencers. Those who spoke at this roundtable reiterated claims that protesters outside the ICE facility are part of an orchestrated terrorist group called Antifa. Katu asked protesters point blank if they were Antifa.
Part of an organized group called Antifa?
Absolutely not. There is no such thing. I don't know why people are not understanding that. It is completely ridiculous. It just stands for anti-fascist.
Think that any of the people who are here are part of Antifa or organized terrorist groups?
Not that I've seen. I met a priestess. She's for the Lutheran Church, and she says she's out here and making sure that it's peaceful.
Also on this day, another major decision on a federal deployment in Portland. The Ninth Circuit Court ruled National Guard troops could remain federalized but not deployed in Portland. The court granted an administrative stay on a temporary restraining order, or TRO. Starting at midnight on Thursday, October 9th, K2 began a 24-hour live stream to show our viewers exactly what was happening outside the ICE facility. As that live stream played out, DHS Secretary Noem accused leaders in Portland of covering up Antifa tactics in a cabinet meeting with President Trump.
They are all lying and disingenuous and dishonest people because as soon as you leave the room, then they make the exact opposite response.
Noem also announced plans to expand ICE operations in Portland, including buying more buildings to operate out of. Meanwhile, K2 tracked down Portland Mayor Keith Wilson at an unrelated city event and asked him about the Trump administration's cover-up claims. Mayor Wilson said he rejects the claim and accused the Trump administration of making up a reason for the federal government to come in. On Friday, October 10th, National Guard troops remained under federal control but had not yet been deployed. A panel of judges from the Ninth Circuit continued to mull over the Trump administration's appeal, asking permission to deploy the Guard even while a lawsuit plays out. Meanwhile, word of a planned laser protest in South Portland prompted an increase in security measures. Protesters allegedly plan to shine lasers in the sky to ground federal helicopters, which is a federal crime. DHS condemned the planned event. On Saturday, October 12th, we learned OHSU was diverting medical helicopters due to the possibility of lasers. They landed at other airports, then transported patients by ambulance. It seems the laser protest never happened. That night, however, federal agents and a larger crowd of protesters clashed once again. Agents detained people and used pepper spray and pepper balls. Our crew also noticed federal agents bearing uniform patches that read Houston Field Office. On Sunday, October 12th, people marched from a park in South Portland to the ICE facility. That afternoon, there was a big turnout for the emergency naked bike ride that started near the convention center and passed by the ICE facility. In the early evening, protesters and counter-protesters faced off, and agents used pepper spray and pepper balls as they took multiple people into custody. Counter-protesters displayed a large mural of conservative influencer Charlie Kirk, who was recently shot and killed in Utah. You may have noticed during our timeline we haven't talked about arrests. That's because the number of arrests have differed between Portland police and federal agencies. And while protest activity has increased in Portland since late September, protests have been off and on at the ICE facility since early June. Both federal agents and Portland police have arrested people on various charges, often including disorderly conduct, but sometimes as serious as assault. This data is as of Monday afternoon on October 13th. The FBI in Portland says federal agents have made 192 federal arrests or citations since early June. Portland police have made a total of 47 arrests in the South Waterfront area. Portland police regularly emphasize that they're maintaining public safety and enforcing state laws. PPB does not assist DHS with immigration enforcement. As of this production, the number of arrests, the legal challenges, and federal immigration policy continue to change. K2 is always on your side, committed to bringing you both factual updates and content to this ever-evolving situation.